the next 2 weeks of my life are going to feel like absolute chaos. But here's how I'm going to get through it. We all have those times in our lives when everything is due and happening at once, and juggling it all seems like this huge mountain staring you right at the face, and sometimes it can be very overwhelming to deal with. As a technical theatre student and someone who likes to also spend their time on stage, show times are usually my most stressful and most daunting because I have so many things going on at once, and shows generally seem to be within the same 2 weeks, whether it be backstage or on stage. However, busy season can happen for anyone, whether you're a high school or university student, whether you're working in the workforce, or even if you're just a parent juggling other people's busy seasons. And life is never promised to always be easy, so these seasons in our lives are needed. However, there is healthy ways that you can handle this time to lessen the stress and kind of find some purpose in this crazy and questionable time. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, my name's Michelle and I'm a technical theatre student, if you haven't gained that from the intro already, and I make creative and hopefully sometimes relatable content relating to my life. But if you find this video helpful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. So let's get straight into the video. Tip number 1, planning is key. Now, I personally am a planning girly. If I don't see it written down in front of me on my desk calendar, it's not gonna happen. Now, we all have our own methods of planning, but for me, writing something down in my calendar that I look at every day when I'm at my desk helps me to kind of accept the events that are happening and to mentally prepare for it. This also helps me to see how everything is going to fit together and if there are any clashes or things that I need to sort out. And once I know about my set in stone events or deadlines, I can plan my other less important for the time things in between. And it can be very satisfying to see how these all fit together and give me some peace that it's all going to be fine as long as we stick to the schedule. Now that you see your calendar filling up, it can be very overwhelming to see how much you have to do. But my next tip number 2, is to just take it day by day and break each day up for yourself into steps. Making a to-do list helps you to gain sight of the end destination without allowing it to drown you. It helps you to break things down into steps and stick to the list. And it's also very satisfying when you get to tick it off by the end of the day. It gives you a little sense of achievement among the stress. Now, tip number 3 is also regarding planning, and that is to prioritize and learn to say no. Now, I suck at this, I'm not even gonna lie about it. I absolutely hate saying no, and I love to make my life difficult by signing up for a lot of things. Now, I don't know if that's the people pleaser in me or the theatre kid in me that likes to be part of a lot of things. I love signing myself up for every opportunity that comes my way, and that sometimes makes my life very stressful when everything is happening at once. So learn from your girl, learn to say no to those things, and prioritize what is most important in that time. At the end of the day, when we say yes to everything, we actually end up disappointing people when we can't give our full potential to it, and when we can't do as we promised because there's too much going on. Prioritizing is essential during your busy season, not only for the sake of others, but also for the sake of your own peace of mind. Tip number 4. Now, this is to have realistic expectations of how this week is going to play out. How are you going to react to certain stresses and pressures? And how are the outcomes of this busy season going to play out? Usually when you go through this amount of busyness and stress, it's very easy to be hard on yourself and get irritated with yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're not working as fast as you feel you should be. So being realistic with your expectations, kind of gauging how you are going to react in certain situations can help you be like, okay, I knew this was going to happen. Let's not waste time by being upset with myself and let's just move forward. So it's important to give yourself some grace and preempt difficult situations so that you can be prepared. Tip number 5 is to make time to get enough sleep. Now, I know this sounds super lame, and considering how much you have to get done in your busy season, sleep seems like a privilege and expensive commodity that you do not have time for. However, if you do not have enough sleep, you are not going to be able to work to your full potential and react to situations that you need to react in the right way to, and you're not going to work fast enough. So sleep is very important. I know it doesn't sound like it at the time, but when you are only going off of a minimal amount of hours of sleep, you cannot function in the way that you're designed to function. Also, you're not going to be able to regulate your emotions as well because you are tired. And if you are tired, you're going to feel more stressed. And if you're tired, you're going to be much more harsh on yourself. You're going to get overwhelmed more easily. So setting yourself time to stop the work and get some sleep is important. Now, tip number 6 also relates to looking after yourself, and this is to fuel your body with the right kind of food. We tend to eat junk food, fast food, and unhealthy food during busy seasons of our life because we're running around from place to place. We often don't have time to cook, and honestly, after a long day of working, running after people, running after deadlines, by the time you get home, you're pretty tired and you don't feel like going through all that effort to cook a healthy meal. However, like sleep, our body needs good nutrition to function on the right level. While junk food and snacks satisfies the quick craving at the time, it's not going to help you in the long run and it won't fuel your body for the day. Now, my solution to this would be doing some meal prep ahead of the time that you know you're going to be extremely busy, so that you have on-the-go food that you can just quickly heat up, but it's still a bit healthier than takeaways or just general junk food and snacks. And sometimes a good, hearty, homemade meal really does make you feel better from all the stress and just overwhelming feelings. Now, tip number 7. If it is possible, it is a great idea to surround yourself with some sort of support system, whether it be family, friends, or even colleagues, just to remind you that you're not alone in this time and that you have support and you have people that are there for you. Now, you may not spend hours hanging out with them, but even just a few words of affirmation or advice will sometimes help to uplift you during this stressful time. Tip number 8. It is easy to quickly become negative during this time when you're so busy and stressed, but it is vital to stay positive and surround yourself with positivity. When you have a lot on your plate, you don't have time to deal with drama, and therefore it's best to stay away from it as much as you can. And it's also important to just be graceful with yourself. And don't stick to the lows of a certain situation and get stuck on that, because that will drag you down and that will make you feel more stressed during this time, more anxious, and just generally more irritated to the small things during this time. So you really don't want negativity to hold you back. Tip number 9. Set time to take a breather. Now, depending on your situation and what you are working on during this busy time, you may be surrounded by a lot of people, or you may be just working by yourself, getting a lot of deadlines done. But when we get overwhelmed and tensions are high, a 3-minute breather just to regulate yourself again, get yourself together, might save the situation and prevent drama, prevent negativity, and prevent a bad working space. When we just take those few minutes to take a breath and remove yourself from that workspace, you'll be able to re-enter it with a clearer and cooler mind and handle the situation in a more positive way. Now, my last tip number 10, is to hold on to your faith and that thing that gives you peace. I know that life isn't always going to be easygoing and peaceful, and we are going to endure stress and heartache. But ultimately, it's during these times when our faith and relationship with God is tested, and it's usually during these times that you learn a lot about yourself, about the people around you, and about your faith. Even when it feels like you're cracking under the pressure, it's important to realize that God is always there for you and that He wouldn't put you through tests that you could not handle. And when you give your burdens and anxieties to Him, you're going to feel so much lighter going through this season, and you're going to be a lot more stronger and at peace. Busy seasons are usually a marathon and not a sprint, even though most of the time it feels like that. So by following these tips to look after yourself and the situation at hand, and just pacing yourself and being ready for the hurdles that might be thrown at you, will help you enjoy this time and ultimately come out of it stronger and successful. So I really hope these tips have helped you. Maybe they'll give you some peace or some good coping mechanisms to deal with the season ahead. I wish you all the best for this time, and that it's super productive, and that you gain some peace through the difficult times and use these methods to help you get through it. As for myself, my videos are probably going to be a little bit slower for the next 2 weeks, as I am having shows moving in and I'm performing quite a lot in the next 2 weeks, but you will see some vlogs and some content in the near future. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe and give it a like. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me to see what kind of content you guys like. And if you have any tips on how to survive busy season, please make sure to comment them down below. I would love to hear your tips for myself, and I'm sure the people that are watching this video would also like to hear from you. That's it from me today. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!